to Purposeful. I'm your host, Ashley Bernardi, founder and CEO of Nardi Media, an award-winning strategic communications and media relations firm that helps mission-driven leaders, authors, and organizations turn meaningful work into messages that actually move people. At Nardi Media, we don't just chase headlines, we build authority. We help our clients clarify their message, train them to show up powerfully on camera and on stage, and secure earned media across national TV, top-tier podcasts, and major publications so their ideas reach the audiences who need them most. Purposeful here is an extension of that work, creating space for thoughtful conversations with people who are using their voice, their platform, and their leadership to make the world better. And today's guest invites us into something we don't often give ourselves permission to do: pause. Effie Santos is a keynote speaker, TEDx presenter, and author of The Power of the Pause, Finding Courage in Change. Through her work, she challenges leaders, teams, and individuals to rethink how they move through uncertainty, not by pushing harder, but by creating space for clarity, courage, and intentional action. But Effie's message isn't just professional, it's deeply personal. As the founder of Maddie's movement, she has turned unimaginable loss into a powerful mission, one that supports teens and young adults aging out of foster care, helping them build lives rooted in independence, opportunity, and hope. In honor of her daughter Maddie's legacy, Effie is helping others discover their own strength and purpose. Today, we're talking about what it really means to pause, how we turn pain into purpose, and how we lead with intention in moments that could otherwise break us. Effie, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to Purposeful.
Thank you for having me, Ashley. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so grateful for our time together today because I think pausing is so important. I've had firsthand experience in a health crisis just that led me to pause and led me to discover myself. So I do want to talk about that. But first, I want to hear about you, Effie, and your story. And of course, your daughter, Maddie, and what led you to create Maddie's movement and more. So just the why behind the work that you do.
Of course, I love talking about Maddie. So I'll start back in spending my career was in banking for 25 years. And in the latter part of my career, I spent a lot of time working with women-owned businesses and nonprofits, my two passions. And in that work, I noticed that there was a lot of gaps between companies and causes. And I actually started my own business. I retired from banking in 2019 to start my own business to work with companies and causes to connect them to strengthen our communities. And then March 4th, 2021, my life completely changed forever. And that's when I got that knock at the door that Maddie was in a car accident. She was just leaving work and she did not make it. She was only 19 and everything, my whole world shattered and stopped for a very, very long time. In the midst of that, the one thing I knew for certain is our relationship, mine and Maddie's relationship, had to go on, and I wanted to honor her legacy. I could not let her go, our relationship go, because she was physically not here. And what I did know, Maddie and I had many conversations. I took her out networking with me that she wanted to make change for kids in the foster care system, teens especially. And I get asked all the time, like, how did she even know about that? And when she was in high school, there's actually a group home that's right next to her high school. So a lot of those teens attended school with her. And that's where she figured out that life is not fair. It does matter who you're born to, where you're born, the color of your skin, all of those things that we have no control over matters by the opportunities that you have in life. And she wanted to change that. So she was going to school to advocate for, to get into law to make change for these young adults. So I'm taking her dream, and that's how Maddie's movement was born. So it's our mission and our purpose to support these teens and young adults that are amazing. As they're aging out of the foster care system, to support them with the community, the connections, and tools so they can be self sufficient. And it's amazing work. It's very deep rooted work because we're dealing with human beings. And it's definitely not a one size fits all, but it is my passion. And we get to talk about Maddie every day and live out her legacy.
Okay, wow. I'm already in tears in my eyes. I got to pause because, whoa, first of all, I feel the grief, and how you are taking this pain and turning it into purpose. I had a loss when I was 11 years old. I lost my dad very suddenly. And I love what you said about, even though Maddie's not physically here, I'm still going to have a relationship with her. I'm curious what that looks like for you now, because I do the same thing. It took me a long time as a kid to get through my grief. I don't think it's something you ever get over, but I do have a relationship with my dad now, and in some ways, I'm like, this is even more powerful of a relationship than when he was alive. And I'm curious how that works for you.
Yeah, I can remember the one thing I just kept saying over and over right after her accident was, Maddie, we have to stay connected. We have to figure this out. And that tragedy, that sudden loss, especially like your child,
Yeah,
so many emotions. It's so physical too. It is just shock and grief and anger and sadness. And so you're dealing with this tornado of emotions and then trying to decipher in this unknown state that you're in is, how do we do this? So
yeah,
I'm talking to her and saying, Maddie, we have to make this work. I don't know what to do and how to do this, but I need you to help me make this work. And then all of a sudden, these powerful signs started happening. And that's what started happening, Ashley, was powerful signs from her. Like I would literally ask a question and she would be bold and share this sign with me that I knew was her.
mm,
And so we started developing this sort of communication, this new type of communication, this new type of connection, this, going for walks and talking to her to say, am I on the right path with, even before what was Maddie's movement, when we were in this R&D stage, is this the right way to go? And I had to be open. I had to
yeah.
be spiritually open. I had to be open to hear the signs, to feel the signs, more importantly, and then to hear her in a different way.
It's so beautiful. Let's talk about the signs. What were some of the signs?
I'll tell you one of the first most powerful sign was my husband said, this was probably a month after, and he said, I just need to get you out of the house. And there
Hmm.
was a Sprouts that just opened up by us. He's like, let's go just walk in the store. And we were walking in the store and I had this thought that I said to him, I said, where do you think Maddie really is? Because I think heaven is too busy. I think there's not enough space. Like, where is it do you think that she really is? And so as we were having this conversation and walking towards the cash register, there's this magazine. And the title of the magazine was The Promise of the Afterlife.
Whoa.
And I've never seen a magazine like that ever. And so big, bold letters, the promise of the afterlife. And I picked up the magazine, and the first page I opened it to were kids in heaven. And Ashley, we just started bawling our eyes out because that literally I'm asking the question, and that was such a bold answer.
Yep.
And that was the first most powerful sign, and what that taught me was when I feel something to say something, that
Mm.
I will, if I'm walking next to someone and I have this feeling like I need to say something to them, always something happens. I've said that to a crossing guard. We were kind of crossing paths and I said, I feel like I need to talk to you, finding out she lost her son. So
Wow.
Those new way that new language, so to speak, I've embraced it, and it's been incredible, and it keeps Maddie very close to me. Other big signs are butterflies, and so we have butterflies in our backyard, and seeing them from caterpillars to cocooning up, and to me, and being born, watching their wings spread, and to me, that is her sharing, like, we are and we continue to transform, and the butterflies allow me to pet them and hold them, and it's just incredible.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. And it's what signs that she is still here. She's still here. Thank you for sharing that. And I can imagine the journey of loss through finding new ways to have a relationship with your daughter and the signs. They're so powerful, so beautiful. Tell me, I want to talk Maddie's movement and then I want to talk about your book. Let's talk a little bit more about Maddie's movement and today. Actually, so you were in the R&D and now where is Maddie's movement today? How has it evolved and how is Maddie continuing to show up with the signs to give you the direction that she sees for Maddie's movement?
So through about a year and a half of R&D and meeting with organizations, nonprofit that worked in the similar space to really understand what happens to these kids when they turn 18. There's a lot of support and services, but once you turn 18, you're now an adult. You're supposed to be an adult, and adulting is very hard, especially when you've had no support to get you prepared to turn 18. What are those
Right.
next steps? And through that time, also, I met with a lot of kids that have aged out to really hear from them because I was going in like from this business perspective of we want to build around the need. But what I didn't know at that time is I was building trust with these teens and young adults. And so we formally launched Maddie's movement on her 22nd birthday, which was August 5th, 2023, all around the number 22. And January of that next January is when we launched our first financial foundation program. And my husband and I taught it. He's a banker also. So we were in it. We were in it with the kids, and we also wanted to understand how to facilitate the class, what to really teach so they were engaged and we could help educate and inform them. So from that time to today, just a little over 2 years, we have really grown quickly, which is amazing. Probably 80% of our kids have been with us from the very beginning, which is you're very relational, not transactional. And the very first thing is building trust. Like any relationship, if we do not build the trust, they don't allow us to walk alongside them and help support them on their path forward. So everything from empowerment, education, and employment, our goal is to get them to be self-sufficient, but live a thriving life, not just to survive. We want to help them break this cycle of dependency. Most of our kids are over 18 to 20, 26 years old, and most of them have grown up in the system of care. So that being said, they're very dependent. So even having them make a choice on their own empowers them. So we teach them the life skills, financial literacy, getting a driver's license. Less than 1% actually have a driver's license. It's a
Wow.
huge barrier. So we
Wow.
have our classes and events. We pay for Ubers to knock down that barrier while we're helping them get a job, get their driver's license, get a car, and so on.
What incredible work. I also love that you and your husband are taking your banking and finance skills and teaching them financial literacy, which is so important for that age. What have you seen happen for these young adults as they go through the program, as they have been in the program? What changes for them?
Wow. Everything from getting more confident, learning how to build healthy relationships. I've heard that a lot. I've never known a healthy relationship. So you taught me how to build a healthy relationship, having them feel comfortable enough to open up, to be vulnerable and ask for help.
Hmm.
Going to college, getting enrolled into college, moving to college, getting their driver's license, getting a car, feeling that empowerment, that independency that they never saw themselves in that on that path before. Think the biggest thing is they need a lot of exposure. Most of our young adults have lived in poverty,
Hmm.
have lived 100% of them have trauma of some sort. Many of them have moved 20, 40, 55 times in their times in care. So can you imagine? Caitlin, one of our young adults that has moved 55 times, she told me I had to keep changing my persona with each placement I was going to. I could never be myself to protect myself. And that's really sad because they have to discover who they are also. Since Maddie's movement was born, I'm so proud to say we've been able to serve 225 teens and young adults. And in our Tampa Bay community, in our Tri-County area, 600 age out each and every year. So we want to help support every single one of those young adults.
Wow. And what would, just for our listeners and our audience, what are some of, because I can see people being like, okay, I want to help. How can I help? What are your biggest needs right now in terms of volunteers or services, talents, funds? What are the needs for Maddie's movement to help carry you forward with her vision?
We work with companies to help co-create solutions with us. So we are not part of the foster care system. And so all of our funds are private funds through family grant funding and things like that. So in order for us to help support 600 kids is yes, we need funding to help that grow. We also have our advocate program, and those are volunteers that help walk alongside of us to mentor our young adults.
I love that.
And they teach our young adults to build community. So once a month we have a advocate networking evening where young adults and our advocates come and they build organic relationships. And we want them to have 3 or 4 advocates walking alongside of them because Ashley, like you and I, we have a network of support, right?
Yeah.
If I need someone to go for a walk with me, that may be one friend. If I need some business advice, that may need another friend. And that's part of what this advocate program is, to teach them to build a network and community with them that will last them their lifetime.
It's so important. It's so needed, especially for these young adults, because Maddie's right. We can't choose. Like, it's not fair that they have to grow up in these circumstances. And you said it, 100% of them have experienced some sort of trauma. And I just keep thinking, wow, what if I didn't have my mom or family supporting me after graduating high school? How lonely that must feel. And so you and Maddie and your family have helped fill this important gap and need, that it's almost like catching them as they are told by society to go off, good luck, right? There's
Yeah.
no support, no life skill support or anything, and you're filling that gap. How does that feel for you now that you're a couple years in to this program? Where are you at with everything?
For me personally, it's very, very healing.
Yeah.
I honestly feel if Maddie's movement was not here, Ashley, I think I would still be in that black hole.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's so special because our young adults know our why. So it was like last year on Maddie's birthday, we did a Maddie's movement prom. Most of our young adults have never went to prom.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So we did a prom in a limo. They were driving in the parking lot and paparazzis and they dressed up and we celebrated Maddie's 24th birthday for that piece and having the hugs and kisses, around knowing that it is prom, but yet her birthday is so special. So for me, this work is the hardest work I've done because we're working with human beings. It's very, very deep rooted work, but it's the best work I've done. And so and again, you said it earlier, I don't we never get over grieving. We have to learn how to live with it. And so I'm very thankful that we have Maddie's movement to help me through my grieving journey for the rest of my days on this earth.
That's right. That's right. And I can't help but think of how proud Maddie is right now of her parents and you, just you and her father and just all the community living out this legacy and her dream and her vision. It's so beautiful. Um, we're going to put more for our listeners details in the show notes. I do want to talk about your book because I'm sure there's something related in Maddie's movement and the power of the pause. It's so interesting. I love a pause. I didn't learn about how to pause until I had a health crisis. Pausing can feel so counterintuitive also in a world that rewards constant action. So tell me where this pause came from for you.
Yeah, so many people think it is about my loss of losing Maddie. And actually, the pause came before that. The
Mhm.
pause came when I was in banking, and probably the last 5 years of my career in banking, I knew I wanted to do something different. I always wanted to start my own business. I just wasn't fulfilled anymore. And ironically, I remember telling one of my best friends, like, I just have this burning desire inside to do something, but I didn't know what that something was. And I said, I just want to spread my wings out wide and far like a butterfly. I said, I just feel like they need to be spread, and I don't know how to spread them and what that is. So the power of the pause came by accident. I then said, because I thought I got to wait for my girls to get out of high school, and I had all these excuses of things. So I then decided one day, okay, I'm going to do some small strategies that I can implement right away. I controlled my schedule for work a lot. So I said I'm going to cut out 80% of things I don't have to do.
Mm,
Allow me more time, right? That's the one thing we can't
mhm.
create is more time.
That's right.
So then I said, I'm going to then start having a cup of coffee on my front porch without my phone, without a laptop, and just being. And it was so hard, actually, for like the first 3 days
I
because,
believe it. I believe that.
but then after that fourth day, things started to level out and clarity started to come. And
Wow.
so I implemented different strategies. And so I did this for about 6 to 8 months. And that's where I did journaling. I used to think journaling before was like a waste of time. And in between appointments, I literally wrote things I hate to do. I never want to write a credit memo again. I never want to do, but things I love. I love empowering women, love working with nonprofits. And it gave myself permission, one, to take time, and one, that things can be messy right now. Whatever I'm doing, it does not have to be perfect. And that all led these very simple strategies led to me building out my business, what was at the time called Red Root Strategies. And so then I was able to launch my business. And that's where the power of the pause came. And at that point, before COVID, I was asked to do a TED talk about the power of the pause and these strategies and that. And COVID happened, Maddie's accident happened, and that TED talk was rescheduled like a dozen times. And so it was right before Maddie's 1 year anniversary that, the TED Talk was on, and I was like, there's no way I'm not doing this. They
Mhm.
had me rethink it, and I did do it. And that's where I
Mhm.
created a new script of when we can take an intentional pause, right? For me, it was I wanted to start my own business and I needed to figure out how. And then when life throws the worst lemons our way, what can we do? And it's very similar. So that's where the power of the pause came from. But I also incorporate it in the loss with Maddie and other elements of my life as well.
Wow. And also put it into a book too, not just a TED
Yeah,
Talk, it's now in a book.
it's in a book. Yes.
Thank you for sharing all of this. And I think it's so inspiring that in a world that's chaotic and we're addicted to screens, that you found yourself by pausing and you got the clarity. Like you said, it was
Yeah.
clarity. I'm curious for our listeners here. They're like, okay, I don't know if I can sit on my porch with my coffee without my phone. I'm actually going to try that tomorrow morning. I'll let you know how it goes, Effie, but I'm curious what
Yeah.
other advice you might have to give our listeners about just those pauses that we can take to gain that clarity and inner knowing.
I think whatever it is that's calling you, what's in your heart, it doesn't have to be starting your own business, or it could be some changes that you're looking for yourself or for your family. I think the very first piece of it is writing down, giving yourself permission to pause.
Mm.
Pausing doesn't mean you're not doing anything. It just really means slowing down so you're able to reflect and reassess. And then that's where the clarity is going to come. So it's creating this space for you. I feel really strongly about we have to start with courage and not with
Yeah.
confidence.
Yeah.
So many of us, especially as women, we think we have to know everything in order to begin something, kind of like a job description. Like, right, we have to hit all these boxes, and that's not true.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
right.
it's really converting. I was the one that used to say, what if this? What if I don't make enough money? What are people going to think? What if it doesn't work out? And then I had to think, but what if it does work out?
Y-
What if it does? So it's starting with courage versus the confidence. The confidence will come in the practice of the pause.
So you're right. I think courage is step one. I love the word courage too. And it's so interesting to me how it's like we have to be courageous to pause in a world that's telling us to always be on, always be working, always be hustling. And I do think in many ways our lives depend on the pause. And even for me, I really do try to find time every day to pause. But I'm so glad that we're speaking because I needed this reminder today, Effie. I really did. And I'm just so grateful that you are here to share your story and Maddie's story. Tell us where our viewers can learn more about you, the work you're doing, and of course, Maddie's movement too.
Absolutely. You can visit my website, effiesantos.com, and there's more about the work that I'm doing with the power of the pause and to purchase the book. And there's an accompanying journal that goes with the book. And then for Maddie's movement, it's maddiesmovement.org, and that will share with you what we do, how we do it, and some stories of our young adults as well.
Effie, thank you so much for sharing your story, your wisdom, and your courage with us today. I'm so deeply grateful and moved by this conversation.
I appreciate you having me part of the podcast and allowing me to share my voice. Thank you.
Thank you. And for our listeners, as we close today's conversation, Effie leaves us with a powerful reminder. Sometimes the most courageous thing we can do is pause, not to step away from life, but to step more fully into it with clarity, with intention, with heart, and in a world that often tells us to keep going, keep pushing, keep doing more. Effie's inviting us to consider a different path, one where space creates strength and where even our most painful experiences can become the foundation for purpose. And through Maddie's movement, through her work, and through her message, she shows us that resilience isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about how we choose to respond to it. So to everyone listening today, maybe today's takeaway is simple. Give yourself permission to pause. You might just find exactly what you've been searching for on the other side of it. And if you're someone with an important message, whether you're a leader or author or part of a mission-driven organization, and you're ready to bring your message into the world with clarity and confidence, my team at Nardi Media would love to support you. That's exactly what we do. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and join us for more conversations like this. This is Purposeful. I'm Ashley Bernardi, and I'll see you next time.